Please welcome Politico's senior political columnist and politics bureau chief, Jonathan Martin, and Republican National Committee's chief of staff, Chris LaCivita.
How does he have a credential? Who gave him a credential?
Brother. Good to see you, man.
We got some hecklers in the room, I hear. I say.
Oh, outstanding. My fan club.
Besides LaCivita.
Oh, hello.
All right, everybody, grab a seat if you can find one. Grab a seat if you could find one. Thank you for being here on the final day of the convention that is suddenly the second biggest political story in the world. Chris LaCivita, senior strategist in the Republican Party, and now helping to oversee the Trump campaign, is joining us, and we're thrilled to have him. Chris, let's just get to the news here right out of the gate.
Right.
What would the replacement of Joe Biden on top of the Democratic ticket mean for your candidate and your campaign going forward? And what are you guys planning to do strategy-wise to reflect that?
Well, from a strategic side, wouldn't you like to know?
I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, okay. But, well, first and foremost, the way we view it, looking at it as, from where we are, I mean, this is nothing more than an attempted coup by the Democrat Party. They are actively engaged in an attempt, in my view, and a lot of people share this view, in deposing the President of the United States. Because, look, you can't step down as a candidate for president because you're cognitively impaired while still being president. So, the two are linked. And so, Hunter loses all his access. Do you guys really think that they're going to give it up that easy? Again, it's literally a coup. For everything that they accuse Republicans of, they're actually doing it on national TV every single day. So that's first and foremost what I think is developing right in front of everybody. Yep.
All right, that's your punditry. Thank you for that.
It's an actual part of the conversation.
Okay. What does it mean for your campaign going forward if Kamala Harris becomes the Democratic standard bearer? How do you run against her, and does it change the map that you're looking at?
No, it doesn't, because the last time I checked, it's Biden-Harris.
Okay.
Right? So every single thing that Biden did is an issue that is that she is complicit in. Never mind the fact that she's also, the gaslighter in chief, specific to, oh, he's fine, he's in great shape. I mean, do you know how much tape we have on this? Yeah. So, and that's a character issue. So never mind the fact that, we have them dead to rights on inflation, national security. I mean, let me go to the border, the border czar, please. I'd love it.
Would you, Chris, consider any kind of legal recourse if the Democrats do try to dump Biden from the ticket?
Well, let's look at it this way. Or let's not forget, in 2014 in Kansas, the Democrats. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he sort of had something to do with that being a race. In 2014, in the state of Kansas, the Democrats had, I think it was somewhere between 80 and 100,000 Democrats, which I think that's all there are in the state, vote in the Democrat primary, nominated a candidate for the United States Senate. Then this guy named Greg Orman comes along as an independent. Nice looking guy, tons of money. Democrats decide, we don't like our guy. So they sue. They go to court. The Supreme Court of Kansas allows the Democrat Party to remove their duly nominated person off the ballot so that it's just Pat Roberts versus Greg Orman, an independent. So there's precedent here. There's history here. The Democrats love to take out their sitting incumbents, Senate, whatever, and put somebody else on, and so that's a huge issue. They're going to disenfranchise, millions of people that vote. I don't know what the total numbers are, but it's literally millions that voted in the Democrat Party. But that's not our problem. That's theirs.
But you're open to pursuing, depending on the timeline, some kind of legal recourse to keep them on the ballot.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I'm certainly, and we are certainly not going to tip our hand on what we're going to do. But, look, this election is not going to be focused on legal battles. They would love to talk about anything other than inflation, the border, et cetera.
Yeah. Chris, a lot of the sort of bonus states that are being talked about right now, which are states that have been blue, really going back to, in most cases, President Obama's first election in 2008, but that now are being talked about as coming into play. Our native state of Virginia, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Minnesota, potentially. Tell me of those states, which of them do you think become more appealing to you if Biden is not the nominee and Kamala Harris is the nominee?
So right now, as Emerson just came out with a slew of polls last night, and have Trump up 2 or 3 in the Commonwealth. So look, right now, we have about somewhere between 20 and 25 different paths to the nomination.
Yeah.
I mean, to the election.
Yeah.
Just flat out.
Yeah.
And they have won.
Sure.
They have won.
The 3 Great Lakes states.
The blue wall.
Right. So, but again, do you think that a place like New Mexico, for example, where you've got a lot of non-college voters, a lot of multi-generational Hispanic voters, does that become more appealing to you?
It does, because it's also I believe, the second largest oil-producing state in the United States. Second largest.
You think that you guys could run more competitively there against Kamala Harris than Joe Biden?
I think it would be. No, I mean, I think we're in a strong position to beat either one of them in New Mexico. But yeah, probably so, because not only is it just a replacing of a name, right? And look, I'm not going to cede this ground that you can talk about one without the other. If he steps down as a candidate for president, he's admitting to the people of the United States he's not fit cognitive ability to be the president. So does he want his legacy to be defined by the fact that he bailed after 3 years as president of the United States because he's cognitively unable to do the job? I don't know.
You know your own party well, but I take it that your working assumption is that she would be the nominee if Biden is not the nominee, right?
Well, apparently to Nancy Pelosi, that's not the case. There's reporting out there that she's not happy with having Kamala Harris as the nominee, so that will be fun.
But you guys are planning, okay.
I mean, look, we plan for everything, worry about everything, plan for everything, and then we execute. So, I know the one thing that this campaign, and certainly led by Donald Trump, has proven its ability to do, which is to improvise, overcome, adapt, and achieve, regardless of what the scenario that is thrown in front of us.
Let me ask you one last thing on this topic, just directly. Which is more of a challenge for you guys, a politically damaged Joe Biden or a politically healthy Kamala Harris?
Well, I mean, look, if they depose the sitting president of the United States as a candidate, and they depose him as the president of the United States, that's going to create a whole host of different issues. I truly believe that, well, to some extent I believe, that the press, no offense, guys, will give her a reset.
There's no press here, you're okay.
That you promised me there wasn't going to be.
It was all off the record.
I mean, he sent me all the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
He hand wrote them, though.
You did the prep, obviously, for it.
No, but so that it just creates a whole new set of issues. But
Chris, one of the themes of this campaign, I think, for a lot of folks who are watching it closely, is what the hell did you do with Donald Trump? Where did he go? The person who's firing off tweets at all hours, weighing in on issues like the quality of Diet Coke or reality show outcomes.
But that's legitimate. That's
okay.
I mean, come on.
But in all seriousness, though, I mean, what have you guys done, or has he basically realized that he wants to get the brass ring once more, and that to get it back, he's got to be disciplined? Just take us through how you've gotten somebody who was famous for being a newsmaker in the most, let's say, extemporaneous ways to somebody who's a much more focused, at least for now, politician.
So I love how anything positive develops in Trump world. It can't not be him. It can't be something that he came up with. Look, you don't. You don't run for president 3 times in a row and be president and not learn something. I mean, I'm sorry, but this is something that and so he's been, and the fact that we worry about things that we can control. And all of you in here have heard me say this on more than one occasion. Our focus has always been, and our job had always been, and he made it very clear, give me the operation that I need to be successful. And so we worry about that. We worry about the nuts and bolts. We worry about the details. These things matter. I mean, the convention thus far has been executed, I think, pretty flawlessly, from the message discipline to the visuals to the message, obviously, we're trying to push to voters. So we worry about those things that we can control. That's something that we have a direct impact on, and it's actually very important aspect of politics. And so when you have that level of when the boss has that level of confidence in the operation, it takes a little bit of the pressure off of him. But he has told me on more than one occasion, you just secure the vote. I'll take care of everything else.
And Twitter did him a favor by throwing him off Twitter, too.
I'm not going to go there.
Okay. But he is obviously a much more...
It's truth.
He's on truth still, but it doesn't have the same, obviously, impact. Chris, what keeps you up, or what wakes you up at night when you bolt out of bed at 3 in the morning, besides the copious red wine and massive elk that you've shot and killed and eaten that day? What wakes you up at 3?
Not a copious amount. I'm very solid.
What wakes you up at 3 in the morning where you say, oh my God, I just don't know. What is the one thing that could stop this from happening? I mean, obviously you guys are leading the polls now, but what keeps you up as the one big impediment to Trump winning again this fall?
Well, first of all, I don't get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nothing gets me up. And when I hit the hay, I'm out.
Okay.
For 5 hours.
But when you do worry,
well, we worry about everything. I mean, Susie and I
what's
worry
the one thing?
about absolutely everything all the time. But I will tell you, and I have said this weeks before, I was always worried about safety. Just was. And unfortunately, it was something that played out in front of everybody.
Did you make inquiries about safety in the months before Butler?
No, because we have a phenomenal detail.
You felt good about it, but
100%.
But how was it on your mind? Like explain that.
Well, I mean, it's just again, there are things that you can't control, right?
I see.
And I worry about I don't worry about these bigger things that are out there that I know I have no control over. And all of you have been through the presidential cycles before. A campaign can control but so much in an actual presidential campaign. I mean, right? I mean, and so we just try to take advantage of opportunities. I worry about, more than anything, about our operation being able to do the job correctly, not missing an opportunity, not taking advantage of an opportunity or a fastball when it's thrown across the plate. I want to attack every freaking day, 12 hours a day, just non-stop, because that's the nature of the news cycle. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to let anybody off of the hook. And so I'm constantly, harping on staff to make sure that don't miss anything. Attention to detail is the singular most important thing in my view. So it's nothing big, or I worry about, Martians landing or some crap. I literally worry about these small things, because
seizing opportunities.
Yeah, not doing the small things leads to missing the big thing.
So seizing opportunities is key. To go on the offensive.
In a campaign, it's like a hockey game.
What's the best way to go on the offensive against Kamala Harris? What's the one best issue to go on the offensive when it comes to Kamala Harris?
Border.
Okay. What makes her slightly stronger than Biden that could create some challenges for you guys?
Well, I mean, she has an amazing ability to, I think, from a word salad standpoint, make as much sense as Joe Biden. So that's a good thing for us anyway. I mean,
but in all seriousness, I mean, she obviously is a younger person. She'd be the first black woman president in American history. She obviously could bring stuff to the ticket too, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but at the end of the day, the American public wants answers to inflation. They want answers to the border. They want answers to insert issue.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about issues. And by the way, this notion of this is a war against democracy, that contrast is falling apart before our eyes because they're the ones conducting a coup.
Chris, you weren't in Butler on Saturday, thank God. When I saw you savaging the media on Twitter, I felt relieved that you were alive and well to be up to your old tricks. But tell me about that first conversation you had with the former president on Saturday when you talked to him.
I'm not gonna. Some conversations are private. I do know that.
But like
and I like to
defiant,
keep
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like.
Did you say fuck them or fuck that guy?
I'm not gonna go into specifics.
There was an F-bomb, wasn't there?
I'm not going into any details. But I was talking to Suze, and she and Chung were in the car, and the Dan Scavino, they were in the chase vehicle on the way, and there was a very hurried, conversation because I was on the phone with her and then just hung up when it all happened, and I was actually watching it in my hotel room with my daughter, and but I'll be honest with you, I had a little bit of guilt not being there.
Why?
Just because
you're a Marine.
When your friends go through something traumatic like that, you want to be there with them.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talk to the staffers who were in the chase vehicle afterwards, what was their frame of mind? Trump was defiant. You said, but what was the vibe with them?
The same. But I mean, we have a few younger staffers who were in the line of fire. We had one of our press advance. It was her second day on the job, and there's this horrific picture of her on the ground reacting to what was transpiring, and so her mom and dad came and picked her up and took her home.
Yeah, Chris, can the former president use this opportunity to convey to his supporters that no, this was not some kind of a Democratic plot? There's so much bullshit circulating out there that frankly is detrimental to the country, politics aside. Can the president use the opportunity to convey to his supporters who may be falling prey to some of that BS that no, this was not a conspiracy by Democrats or George Soros or whoever?
Well, I think...
Isn't that important for the country to hear that?
Well, yeah, but it's what's important is that, the speech is very, forward-focused. And we're very happy with where that is. But things will change because it's still early in the day.
Yeah.
But in terms of, look, there are not enough facts. And it's not just up to us to talk about, the facts resulting around what had happened. It's also incumbent on the United States Secret Service. And clearly the director has no intention of saying shit to anybody because she ran from 5 U.S. senators last night here. So,
Should she resign?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Was there anger from your colleagues about the performance of the Secret Service? Not his detail personally, but the broader service? I
think that, look, I'm not going to get into all the specifics of that, but I will tell you that the members of the United States Senate who were discussing with her yesterday, you can talk to Marcia, she'll be, the senator from Tennessee, she'll tell you whatever you want to know, that they weren't answering the questions that they felt they needed answers to. Yeah. And that's a problem. And
Chris, you aren't a doctor, but do you have a sense for what the prognosis actually is on, on his ear?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Is there pain still?
I don't know.
Have you asked him if it hurts?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Do you know how long he has to wear the bandage?
Hey, look, I got shot in the face.
Yeah, I know. Chris won a Purple Heart in the first Gulf War.
You don't win one, you get one. But
Chris was awarded the Purple Heart in the first Gulf War, serving the Marine Corps.
Yeah, and it took me a good 30 seconds to get back up off my feet, and I was like, I don't know how the hell he did that. I don't know how. Plus, he had 5 grown men and a female agent on top of him. So it's kind of remarkable.
Have you talked to the speechwriters who are crafting the president's speech for tonight in the last day?
Yeah.
What are they doing to incorporate language into his remarks to reflect the uncertainty about who your opponent's going to be? Have you added language?
So, going through the process of preparing a speech for President Trump, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but look, it's a process, but I don't think people don't know is that he being the candidate, the president, the former president, spends an enormous amount of time reading every single line. And he'll change a period, he'll change a comma, he'll change a whole paragraph.
Yeah.
He'll take a paragraph and move it to this, and because he wants the flow, and what people don't realize either is that, and we've tried to convey this, this whole debate about the, wasn't much of a debate, for the platform. I mean, he went through every single page up until 10:30 Sunday night, and I had to have the thing at the printer at midnight.
Yeah.
So it'd be ready at 6 a.m.
It was clearly his voice.
100%.
You can almost see the Sharpie.
No, I know. And everybody wants to see the draft, and I'm like, well, actually, he was on the phone with Vince, Vince Haley, he and Ross, the chief speechwriters. But I mean, so it's a process. He goes through every single line, and I mean, look, there's a body of work with President Trump and in his speeches. There's a body of work in terms of his issues.
But you guys have had to update the remarks in the last day, or you will today, to reflect the uncertainty about who's going to run.
Look, I'm not gonna. The
We'll see
speech
tonight.
is the speech. It'll be fantastic.
We'll see tonight what he says.
It'll be beautiful.
About,
Be beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful remarks, what was that conversation like that he had with President Biden the other night?
Wasn't there. I just know it was, short.
Yeah. And President Biden inquired about him.
I wasn't there, so I don't try to, insert myself and stuff like that.
Speaking of conversations, that clip of Bobby Kennedy Jr. And the former president talking on the phone leaked. You guys think that at some point here in the next 120 days that it's plausible that Kennedy can endorse?
I mean, look,
that was obviously the ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the great thing was I was here.
Yeah.
And so,
At the CNN Grill?
I wasn't I wasn't here. No. But
it is the hot spot in town.
It's no doubt.
Yeah.
But the conversation that they had was very straightforward and I thought pretty benign, and I thought it was pretty shitty what they did. But I mean, that's what you get.
How did it leak? His son taped it apparently.
Yeah, that's apparently what it was.
And then posted it on Facebook Live or MySpace, one of those platforms. Okay, good. Unclear what it was.
Yeah.
So, you think though it's possible that you guys could land Kennedy, right? Does he take more votes right now, mid-July, from you or from Biden, Kennedy?
Well, it depends on the state.
Okay, let's go
Literally,
to Michigan.
it's a state by state. Michigan probably a touch more from Biden than us.
Here in Wisconsin.
For every vote he takes from us, he's taken 2 from Biden.
How about here in Wisconsin?
About the same.
Pennsylvania?
Much more from us.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
That's Fabrizio. You might know.
Yeah. Maybe I know. Maybe I'm just not going to tell you.
That could be a possibility too. So, better to have him on the ballot or off the ballot?
But I mean,
generally.
I mean, between he and Stein and Cornell, I mean, we're going to have 4 people on the ballot, 3 people on the ballot. They just restored Kennedy on the ballot in North Carolina, right after they made the Board of Elections down there made that BS move.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Democrats are really good at keeping people off ballots.
Chris, speaking of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the 3 blue wall states, what's the former president's floor in these 3 states? What's the minimum percent of the vote? Is it 46? Is it 47? Like what's his floor in these 3 states?
I mean, the floor is definitely very high 40s.
High 40s is the floor in these 3 states.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me, in a multi-candidate ballot, if President
goes higher.
Yeah.
Goes higher.
So
I mean, look, we're polling in some of these states. A lot of these states, we're in a head-to-head. We're already over 50. When you get over 50, I mean, it becomes increasingly difficult, and you hold that. But, you know, the numbers have fluctuated, but they've only fluctuated by 1 or 2 points at most, and all of the margins are plus or minus 4. So you're talking about statistically no difference. The thing that we, again, track more than anything else are, you know, the averages.
I mentioned Tony. That's Tony Fabrizio, who's former President Trump's pollster. Has he gone into the field yet to test the strengths and vulnerabilities of not just Kamala Harris, but other potential Democrats who could be the nominee?
No, I'm not going to answer that.
Why not?
Because
it's private polling. I'm asking for the results.
Exactly.
I'm asking for the results. I'm asking for if he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we do a lot of things.
Okay.
I just don't always have a need to share it with the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be safe for us to assume that in the near future, your research team
We're
is going
a
to test?
professional operation, John. What the hell do you think?
Okay. We'll take that as a strong yes, that you're going to test the various strengths, weaknesses of Kamala Harris and the other possible Democrats who would run. A roster that includes potentially J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro.
You didn't think I was going to be easy, did
Yeah,
you?
no, I'm still working on you. So, are there any folks out there, Democratic names, Chris, that you think would be stronger or weaker than others, if it's not Kamala Harris?
I mean, look, there's a lot of data, public data out there that has shown, you know, a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, I believe the White House did their own polling on this matter and released it publicly, which, I mean, that was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
But you know, I think basically Kamala is polling at about the same in public polls. I've seen some data that suggests that she's actually polling worse.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why Nancy Pelosi is talking about if, you know, Joe goes, we can't have Kamala. So, but I mean, you know, Newsom is kind of weak.
The governor of California is kind of weak,
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Weak in a general election or weak?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you love California and if you love everything that he's done for California, you'll love what he'll want to do to America.
So you guys would love to run against Gavin Newsom this fall, if you could?
Run on any of them.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah.
We'll take any comers.
Right. You know, one of the things that I've said is that at this point, perhaps the Democrats can't win the election any longer, but that.
Look.
Please.
Yeah. No. I mean, we don't even think that way. I mean, our focus is our determination, the way we're structured, the way we're made in this, you know, our brains function. We grind every single day until it. I mean, it's not over until he puts his hand on the Bible and takes the oath. It's not over till then. It's not over on election day. It's over on inauguration day. Because I wouldn't put anything past anybody.
What do you mean?
I just don't. I don't put anything past anyone.
You think Democrats in the courts
Look,
would somehow block him?
there is a well-documented report that talks about all of the efforts that the Democrats had in place in 2020 despite everything that had happened, that there was a well-documented about ways to prevent if Donald Trump had quote unquote won. So you know, like I said, we plan for every worst case scenario. That way we're ready for it.
Is that Molly? Is Molly Ball? Is that your story he's talking about? No, something else. I wasn't finished with what I was saying. What I was saying was that possible that Democrats can't win any longer, but it's also possible that Donald Trump can lose and he can give away the election. That this is incumbent on Trump now to sustain his discipline for the next 120 days, which leads me to a couple of questions.
Well, look, the campaign, the election is about, we keep the focus of the campaign on the issues that are in front of us that we're going to win.
Okay.
And
one of the issues that I know is significant for a lot of voters is he keeps talking about pardoning the January 6th rioters. Chris, is he going to stop doing that? And does he understand why that's politically self-defeating for him to keep saying that?
Well, you know, I always find it amazing that you know, you guys are the ones that bring it up.
That's not true.
Well, I've been in a lot of interviews. It's the first question you guys ask. So
He's volunteered at any number of rallies over the years.
Look, again, what we're talking about right now are the issues that matter, and that's Social Security, protecting Social Security and Medicare. It's, closing the border.
Yes.
I mean, we have so much to talk about, and that's where our focus is.
In a perfect Chris LaCivita world, he would never say the words January 6 hostages ever again.
Social Security, Medicaid, closing the border, deportation. Yeah, I said it. All of those things.
Let me ask you about Project 2025.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. The president, to borrow a phrase from the great Haley Barbour, ran like a scalded dog about Project 2025 when he was.
I didn't consider that.
I had never even heard. I don't know anything about it, which obviously is not true. He knows plenty about it. The architects of it worked for his first term and are very likely to work for his second term if he does win. What can you say to voters who are concerned that he's going to implement some of the more extreme elements of that project?
See, I love the way you just structured that question because you made statements that are complete and utter, just not true.
Okay.
Starting with that, okay, I think the only statement of fact in what you just said was they used to work for him.
Ran like a scalded dog from it?
No, we're the ones that poured the water. And so that these people are, they used to work for him, so therefore, they're the ones driving.
He ran as OMB, Chris.
So what?
Okay.
What makes you think he's going to run it again?
Because you're going to be retired and you can't block them?
That's pure speculation on your part. It's complete and utter bullshit for any reporter to write that this is the way it is, because it's not. That's what the left wants, but I'm not going to give in to that.
Yeah.
And Susie's not going to give in to it, and the president's made it clear. These people do not speak for him. They do not speak for the campaign.
Yeah.
And I love the fact
you
that
call them grifters. You call them grifters.
The campaign, the campaign.
What do you mean?
The campaign. Well, yeah.
The
grifters. Campaign is 100% focused on. We're the ones that are putting out the policy.
They're hurting your campaign. You think?
But look, I think that in the perfect world, from their perspective, they would love to drive the issue set. But they don't get to do that. Now, you guys sure as hell give them a lot of leeway because you're always writing the Trump campaign is going to start with the next Trump.
They're hurting your campaign.
The next Trump
They're
campaign.
jamming you.
No, they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So because they change the issues that are going to win us this campaign are not the issues that they want to talk about, and you guys know it, which is the reason why you're right about it.
Have you told Stephen Miller he's a pain in the ass?
No, Stephen's been great. He's not part of Project 2025. He's not part of 2025.
Spiritually.
You should call
spiritually part of it. Okay.
No, I mean, pick up the phone and call him, and you'll find out he's not.
Has the former president told them to knock it off, that these folks are hurting his campaign?
Did you read what he put out?
I saw it.
Yeah. Well, I think that was pretty clear.
He detached himself from it, yeah.
Well, no, he made it perfectly clear. They do not speak for me.
Yeah, Chris, you served as...
And usually that's enough, right? But no, let's go find another guy who worked, cleaning up, the West Wing.
Like Mike Pence.
Some back office, and who's going to write a policy statement, and then you guys are going to write a story about this is a new policy.
Chris, you served in uniform. You obviously bled for the country. That's why you received the Purple Heart, and you took an oath to the Constitution. Do you believe that former President Trump has any grounding in the Constitution?
Has any what?
Grounding in the Constitution. Is he?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Why do you think that?
Well, obviously, he's a big believer in the First Amendment.
Okay.
Clearly a big believer in the Second Amendment.
For himself, at least, yeah. Okay.
So, says you.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to say something, and so do I.
Right.
So, I think that. And obviously the position that he's taken as Lisa relates to the Dobbs decision from a 10th Amendment standpoint. But yeah, I think clearly he hasn't. He's taken an oath to the Constitution.
Does he believe in the rule of law in this country?
100%. I mean, he wasn't one to let the cities burn. He's not the one that has, last time I checked, there wasn't Republican Commonwealth attorneys or district attorneys that were letting criminals out in the street and not prosecuting crime. Yeah. Last time I checked, Minnesota was burning,
right.
Kenosha was burning, Seattle was burning.
We have a lot of Capitol Police officers here in Milwaukee right now protecting attendees,
Right.
and a lot of them obviously were attacked in the line of duty. Some of them,
Steve Scalise was almost killed.
some of them bitterly so.
was Donald Trump.
So when I ask about the rule of law, I say that because the former president is talking about pardoning criminals who beat, in some cases, almost killed dozens of police officers who were protecting the U.S. Capitol. I just don't understand how that suggests he believes in the rule of law if he wants to pardon criminals who attack and almost kill police officers.
In there, well, first of all, he said, I think pretty clearly, about protesting peacefully. Now, granted, everybody, you guys have your opinion on that. It's very well based in your opinion. But the fact of the matter is, I think Nancy Pelosi's on tape, and it's made perfectly clear she was the one that denied the request for the National Guard. So, I mean, look, there's a lot of back and forth, but to make this broad statement that he's against the Constitution and against the rule of law, when the body of, well, you sure as hell alluded to it, when the body of evidence from our standpoint shows the complete opposite.
Yes.
Especially as it relates to the left.
Yeah. But for the record, you're eager to hear him talk about a set of policy issues, not pardoning a bunch of criminals.
We're talking, no, the campaign is about a very specific set of issues.
Chris, you worked in politics for decades. You worked for a lot of winning campaigns that were less successful, and you kind of came up in the mainstream wing of the Republican Party. Tell me about sort of how you have gotten to this place working for President Trump, who obviously has taken over the party. It's his party now, but for a while, obviously, he was something of an outsider politically. Do you think that your perspective on politics has changed in recent years after going to work for him?
So almost 35 years.
Yep.
Mostly statewide races for Senate and governor. A lot of super PACs. Look, I'm a political professional who gets paid to beat Democrats. That's what I do.
Right.
It's not difficult. That's always how I viewed myself.
Right. Sure.
It's not my name on the ballot.
I understand.
But but at the same time, it's an exhausting business. It's a very consuming job, really, and consuming career because it's almost cultural.
Yeah.
I mean, and so, it just seems that my head seems to be hardwired a different way. In terms of changing, hasn't really changed. They're the same things that I have always believed in. And by the way, you have to actually believe in what you're doing or you couldn't do this. You just couldn't do this. And that's why you don't find political consultants who work for the right and the left. They work for one side or the other.
But you work for a bunch of figures, including Senator Mitch McConnell through the super PACs, who think that the former president is somebody who is, not fit for public office.
Well, he endorsed
Why are they
Donald
wrong?
Trump.
Okay, I know. Okay, once believe that. So I guess what I'm asking is, you've obviously come to believe that a lot of those people in your party have it wrong, right? That they didn't understand.
Well, the last time I checked, it wasn't a lot because,
Well, they retired or lost.
Or what? Or they were like, oh yeah, I agree.
But why is the Cheney family
he's sitting at 95%? He's sitting at 95%.
But why is the Cheney family wrong about Trump?
Look, I don't know what.
They aren't liberals.
I don't know what Liz Cheney's problem is.
Yeah.
I do. Donald Trump endorsed her opponent and she lost.
Yeah.
That would probably piss her off.
She had problems before that too, though, right? Yeah. So your perspective hasn't really changed. Your focus is still beating Democrats, and Trump's the vehicle to do that now, right?
Well, and at the same time, he's actually the leader of a real movement.
Yeah.
Right. It's undeniable. It just is. And
nothing like this, right? You've seen, right?
Huh?
Nothing like you've seen before. Yeah.
I've never.
Was
seen
Obama the
like
closest to this?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I actually think this is. It manifests itself on a level that Obama couldn't.
Chris, what do you think it would mean if he not only won the electoral vote, but if he won the popular vote victory? That hasn't happened since 2004 on your side.
Right.
Do you think that would strengthen his hand, both in terms of politics and policy going forward? And is that your goal, to win not just the electoral vote, but to win the popular vote?
Well, look.
How much does that matter?
The goal is obviously winning the White House. Right. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And you've got to set a very specific goal because of the sheer volume of money that you're spending. And you got to make sure you accomplish it. If those other things happen, wonderful. That's great, right? And that gives you, clearly gives you added juice. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that you're the president. So, we just don't spend a lot of time.
But you want to win popular vote
thinking
too.
about that. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But that's again, the goal is 270.
Yeah. Chris, tell me about the art of Donald Trump and working with Donald Trump and for Donald Trump. What have you learned about the power of persuasion, of making your case to him, of how to get through to him? Like, tell us how that works. How do you make a case to Trump?
I mean, well, most of the interactions are on the plane. And so you have to make your case.
Does he eat on the plane usually?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's where he eats. But you never see him eating, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Never a camera with him eating around. That's intentional, right?
Not what?
There's never a camera around when he's eating, right? He's very careful about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I never really thought about it, but I mean, used to have press on the plane quite a bit.
You don't anymore. Why?
I think we'll get back to doing that.
He threw somebody's phone, right? Who was that reporter? He threw the phone. Vaughn Hilliard.
I was there. It wasn't. You didn't throw his phone. He was like, "Whose phone is this?" "Oh, it's mine." Like
it was a mild toss.
Yeah, it wasn't even a toss.
The press will come back on the plane. The press will come back on the plane before the election's over. His plane.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
So all right. So you're on the plane. Tell us about that. We're on Trump Force One. You got to get to him about something. Tell us how that works.
Well, you got to find a way to lower the music, the volume.
What's he playing usually?
I mean, his playlist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's James Brown,
Yeah. Ice Cube, Ice-T.
No, seriously. And no, not so much.
Okay,
but Phantom of the Opera.
Right. Elton.
Well, and then our
Sir
favorite
Elton.
is Guns N' Roses.
So you turn down the volume of the music, and then
Turn down the volume.
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
Make sure that there's not a UFC fight on. No, I mean look, it's a very informal kind of thing, and you have your you have your conversations about very specific things.
Is there any kind of paper? Like, do you give him a note card or a one pager, or is it all oral?
Yeah, no, it's a combination of oral and it's also a combination of like PowerPoint kind of thing.
Okay.
But you're not going to hand them 20 slides.
Yeah.
And say, read this and make a decision because the way he processes information, it's just completely different.
Is it better to do a one-on-one with him, or is it more effective to have somebody or two people next to you talking to him?
I mean, it just depends on the situation. I mean, I've had private conversations with him about policy or about strategy, and then Susie and I, the vast majority of the time, do it together.
Yeah. He's such a fascinating figure in political history.
The sheer volume that he reads, I mean, people don't understand. I mean, that stack of papers that he carries around with him everywhere.
Right. And they're printing stuff out.
He goes through. He goes through all of that stuff.
And he's also a big phone guy. When I say phone, I mean the old term, the old.
He calls people.
He calls people.
Calls people.
Yeah, on their cell. Does he have numbers saved in his phone?
Matter of fact, John Carl calls him too.
Yeah. John Carl just left here because he's calling Trump right now. He's saying you're going to carry New Mexico now, apparently. So, all right. So he calls folks. Does he have the number saved in his phone? How does that work? Yeah. It's an iPhone. He just dials it up. One of the things that was notable to me after the shooting was how many people he talked to on the phone. It almost became a kind of sign of like being in the club. And the giveaway, of course, was Kevin McCarthy, America's Thirstiest Man, who said that he had just talked to Trump on the phone because that was sort of the cool thing to do. But he's an old school like LBJ style phone guy. He's constantly up against the ear, right? Yeah,
constantly.
Does that help you in some ways because he gets intel, or does it kind of complicate your life?
I don't worry about it because what are you going to do? Take his phone, change his numbers, tell him he can't make phone calls?
Yeah.
What?
Right.
Yeah, I'd be on the back seat of that plane and then out the door.
Does he ever text at all, or is it all phone?
I don't see him text.
Yeah. Do you text him?
No.
Do you email him?
No. Email?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. So it's all you call him.
I mean, he talks to so many people on a daily basis that he talks to corporate guys, he talks to his friends, he talks to his golfing buddies.
It's a big phone tree.
He'll call John Daly, and they'll just bullshit and talk and stuff. I mean, he talks to people about all kinds of stuff.
Somebody told me that he calls Cindy Hyde-Smith between the hours of 5 and 6 in the morning because he knows Senator Smith is a farmer and she's up between 5 and 6 in the morning.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And Trump's also up early. He knows that she'll be up too. That's true. Yeah. So he's calling all kinds of folks and he's getting all kinds of intel. All right, so if you have to get to him on policy versus politics, are there different people that you deploy?
Yeah, I don't go and discuss the finer points of trade policy.
Right.
You know.
But if you have to get to him on something.
I'm very self-aware.
You have your own phone tree of folks to get to him.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's not a matter of, there are a lot of people out there that, you know, obviously being a former president, you have a wealth of people that obviously were maybe in the administration or that have a level of expertise. So why wouldn't you go back to them? But we're not picking up the Heritage Foundation and asking them.
Right. Why not?
2025.
They just jammed you guys on that.
I'm just not interested in talking to them.
Yeah. There it is again.
Yep.
Chris, we're winding down here. You got to have one really good, really memorable Trump story that kind of reveals who he is so far, right? Tell us that. That was compelling, interesting, amusing, poignant, whatever. Come on.
I mean, look, it's not so much. I mean, obviously Saturday's kind of shaded everything. I mean, I puts
because you're a lighthearted guy, so is he, and it's a more sober moment now, right?
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah,
it's a little different.
Yeah,
and it's about the energy or the emotion that you feel when something like that happens. How do you utilize it?
Yeah.
How do you utilize it
for good?
To get to where you need to be.
Well, how do you utilize it to win the election, or how do you utilize it to bring the country together?
Oh, I think it's both.
Can you do that, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of folks in this room
I believe it.
Are very skeptical that he's ever going to change at all from who he is, that he is the most consistent man there is. The presidency did not change Donald Trump. The oil paintings hanging around him did not change Donald Trump, that he's not going to change at all. Why are they wrong, and why is this time different?
Because on so many occasions they've proven themselves to be wrong. There's a body of evidence that suggests a whole lot of idea. I mean, look, let's just talk about the Russia stuff. There's so many cases I can point to they were wrong. So
do you think that he has?
I reject the premise that the press is always right. I'm sorry.
From talking to him since Saturday, Chris, has he said that he wants to try to be more unifying in this speech and beyond?
Look, I'm not going to get in front of him on it. Watch it, pay attention to it, and
All right. Chris, one of the cool parts of this campaign for you, I know, has been working with your daughter, who's here with us today, Victoria, who's running comms for you guys in Michigan.
Yep.
Tell us what that's been like, working with your kid on a campaign, especially a campaign for president.
Well, I mean, she was doing the comms for Attorney General's race.
Is she on message usually? Or is she off message like you?
Well, she's not. She's going to get a phone call from me. Because she doesn't get treated any differently than anybody else. And she'll tell you, probably worse. No, it is cool. It is cool because you never know what your kids are going to do, and I've never put my finger on the scale on what they wanted to do. Just do what you want to do and be happy about it. First and foremost, love what you do. I certainly do. I try to have fun in it. I love it. I'm passionate about what I do. So it's thrilling to be able to work with her and
you put her in a no pressure, low stakes state, Michigan.
Yeah. So I mean, look, but it was a real pain in the ass driving 11 hours though to move her in on. I think I had the one day off, and then we were having dinner that night, Saturday night, and I realized that Biden was flying in on Sunday into Detroit. So I just, and I try to have a little fun on Twitter every now and then, but I sent out a tweet something about going to Detroit. My phone exploded because everybody thought maybe Trump was coming to Detroit.
Wow.
And I did it on purpose.
Of course. You're moving in your kiddo. Chris, bottom line here as we close, January 20th, 2025, you obviously hope that Donald Trump has taken the oath to be president again. What's the best case scenario if he does become president again in terms of the electoral votes? How many could he win? What's the best case scenario?
Best case?
Yeah.
Oof, it's over 320.
Over 320.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario, but still winning, is what? State-wise.
I need 270. I'm trying to think of what that last model was, our worst case scenario model.
Biden carried 2, but not 3 of the blue wall
Correct.
states.
Yeah.
And where is Biden the most vulnerable?
And then you also watch what's going on in Omaha.
The single congressional district.
That ain't over yet.
In terms of legal issues?
Correct. In terms of, does it stay?
So you guys think it's possible that
Yes.
the votes from Nebraska.
It's a special session in August.
So it's possible that Nebraska could give all of its electoral college votes to the winner, almost certainly Donald Trump, instead of splitting it and having the Omaha-based congressional district do its own delegate.
Possibly.
That's interesting.
There's actually an effort, I believe, in Maine, too, to do the same thing.
They also have a split congressional district issue, and there are 2 seats. And lastly, which of the 3 blue wall states, whether it's Harris or whether it's Biden, which of the 3 blue wall states do you think today the Trump-Vance ticket is best positioned in?
Well, right now it's all 3. I know that sounds like a bullshit answer, but
it does.
But yeah, I know. But I mean, the last time I checked, we were up 6 in Wisconsin, which I mean, look, that's rich, right? I mean, I know this state extremely well, and that's a rich lead, and I don't expect something like that to hold. It'll be very, very tight.
So all 3 you're feeling good about, but Wisconsin's really.
Wisconsin's a battle. Michigan's tough. I mean, Pennsylvania, by the sheer size, volume, and I mean the spend, right, is tough. But I mean, we really are bullish on all 3, and we're going to fight it out for all of them.
But you feel the best about Wisconsin right now?
Probably Michigan and Pennsylvania.
Michigan first, then Pennsylvania.
Even though Wisconsin's +6.
In part because Michigan, Biden will, or whoever it is, will lose third-party votes.
They will.
Yeah.
They will here.
So Michigan could be the blue wall.
Yeah, correct.
A backbreaker for the Democrats. Yeah. Guys, Chris LaCivita, give him a round of applause. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Good.